Howdy gamers, it's your boy Ryan Nakata back at it again with another fantastic video. Today, we are talking about the AP US History Free Response, SAQ, and DBQ sections. Overall, what to write in order to get the maximum amount of score you can out of these, and overall what to say to the AP readers that says, yes, I have prepared, yes, I know key terms, and yes, I'm about to get that 5. So without further ado, let's hop right and tackle the SAQ first, since it's the first thing you'll see before you tackle the DBQ and LEQ. Alright, now hopping into the SAQ. In my opinion, it is very much like the game Mario Kart, the SAQ, because you come right off the multiple choice, your brain's like, alright, I'm ready to write, here we go. The first thing you get is question 1 in the SAQ, and you're just pumped up, just like my Mario Kart gameplay here. Please subscribe, it means a lot of support to me. Thank you very much. Alright, now with the SAQ, I have posted right here a sample SAQ to go over with y'all. But before we get into that, I think it's important to point out one simple technique that can get you very high scores on the SAQ because it nails every portion that they might be looking for, and that is the ACE method. A special shout out goes out to Microsoft Paint for allowing me to write those 3 letters in Microsoft Paint to show you guys. But basically what this method does is it splits up the SAQ into 3 sentences that you have to write about, each tackling a letter on the ACE. The first one being A, or just answer the question. This is your first sentence. It establishes what you are presenting the reader with, and it also establishes what you're going to be explaining in the rest of your answer. Moving on to the next sentence, which corresponds with the letter C, which is to cite evidence. This is where you cite very specific evidence that helps your general overall answer, stuff like referencing the Marshall Plan to how it benefited European countries after World War II. You cite the specific evidence in order to help support the answer that you wrote about in your previous sentence. The last letter is E, which is to explain your overall answer. This is done by explaining how the evidence that you cited in the C sentence applies to the answer that you talked about in your first sentence. So it might sound a little confusing just by me talking about it, but never fear, examples are here. Taking a look at part A, it wants us to briefly explain one important way in which the Second World War transformed the relationship of the US with the rest of the world. Now my answer with this would be to first, of course, apply the ACE method, therefore my first sentence will answer the question. My answer to the question would be that the Second World War allowed the US to become more involved in foreign affairs. The second sentence I would write about would be to cite specific evidence, and the evidence that I have chosen would be the US's military superiority during the war that allowed them to be seen and recognized as a world power. This was done through the technological advancements of the atomic bomb. Therefore, my last sentence would explain why that is relevant. As a result of the US's military superiority, it allowed them to be seen as a world power, and thus, it further encouraged the US into becoming involved in more foreign affairs. This is represented in the US's help in providing economic recovery for European nations, as well as attempting to combat communism by the USSR by protecting democracy. I know that sounds sloppy listening to it, so I've posted my actual response here. Pause the video if you need to take further developments on it and actually understand what I was trying to say there. Take note that each color change represents a different letter on the ACE method. The blue one represents my answer to the question, the purple one represents my evidence that I'm citing specifically, and my yellow one represents my explanation to it. Now that I've given my response, I wanted to highlight the College Board example of a high scoring example which earned a point. We're going to be looking at just part A for this portion. And I know it's a little hard to read, but it says, during World War II, the US used a weapon never seen before, an atomic bomb, and helped the Allies win years before the war was predicted to end. This led to the US emerging as a world superpower after the war, and thus created a rise in tension between the USSR and the US. After the war, the US also asserted itself as an ally to democracy and rushed for the containment policy shortly after the war. The US also used the Marshall Plan to fund the European reconstruction. Now, in my opinion, this answer has a few unnecessary things, but it also follows the ACE method, which is why it's a good example. In my opinion, I don't believe the last sentence is necessary because the Marshall Plan is simply referenced, it's not fleshed out, it's not explained, and thus is kind of worthless, considering that they've done this analysis on this previous stuff and are just tacking on the Marshall Plan for no reason, other than to try and get more points if they didn't get it already. The rest of their answer, however, is done very well. It follows a similar path as the ACE method. It answers the question initially by saying that it was the atomic weapons that assisted in the US becoming a prominent figure, which it then cites its evidence by saying that this allowed them to be viewed as a world superpower, and thus explained that by further reasoning that this created a tension between the USSR and US, which then led to drama between the two. Overall, that's about it I wanted to cover with the SAQ. Mainly the ACE method, providing a good outline on how to structure your SAQ answer and getting the full points that you can on it. I hope this video helped you out, and please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you are looking to sponsor me, I'm open to any sponsorship. It does not matter, food, drink, whatever. I will sponsor it. I will do whatever I can. Please sponsor me. But yeah, this has been a short film by Ryan Nakata. Gamer out.